Welcome back to another episode of the Front Pack Podcast. As always, I am Scott with my co host Anthony. Today, we are very excited to jump right in and start talking to today's guest. We have Heber Cannon. Some of you may know him as one half of the Buttery Bros. Previously, he was the lead behind some of CrossFit's biggest films and was a part of their original media team. Now he's transitioned to making full-time content on his YouTube channel with his buddies and is an entrepreneur, having co-founded the supplement brand Podium. Heber, thank you for joining. First, how great is it to be you, and what did I miss?
I think you got it. And I'm a father. That's probably the
Oh,
father and
good,
husband.
yeah.
Yeah. In fact, today's my 17th year anniversary. Big day.
Oh, congrats.
Thanks, guys. Yeah,
man.
thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. How old is your child?
2 kids. I got a 12 and a 10-year-old.
Oh, nice. Have they started school?
We start tomorrow. Yeah, day one.
Oh,
Nice. Yeah. My kids. So I have a 9 and a 7-year-old, and my kids went back today. So we
Nice.
kind of today is like almost like our Christmas day because we can like get back into like a normal routine. So yeah, we're excited. The kids were excited, and it was a long summer. But yeah, man, thank you for joining us. No, you have a busy week. You have Leadville 100 coming up, and when are you getting out to Leadville, and how are you feeling about the race?
I feel like ignorantly confident. I think. Now, I don't know. Confidence, the word. Like, I feel like my body feels great. The race is Saturday. It's Tuesday. I'm leaving tomorrow to get out there. If it was a dream scenario, I would have been out there with my family the last 3 weeks, climatizing to the altitude. But I'm probably doing the worst case scenario. I'll get there, 3 days before the race and see how much my body can adapt then. But
Have
yeah,
you done
the
anything?
body. I've avoided any like injuries and nicks and knacks with the amount of volume I've done. So I'm very happy with the preparation we've put into it.
That's awesome. Have you done anything to acclimatize to the elevation? Are you like sleeping in one of those tents or?
No, I haven't slept. I've seen people get the tents. Hypoxico has some great products. I've used them before. I'm lucky enough that I live in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I've done a bunch of training at around 9,000 feet where I just go up in the mountains and find some flat trails up there and run. I can see them out my window right here, up in the canyons here. So I'm lucky enough that I have some altitude training. I'm going, my cousin's coming with me and he's been training in Arizona and Phoenix. So like he's doing the poor man's elevation with heat, but he's doing he's not at altitude, nor is he doing any elevation gains while he's training. So it'll be interesting to see how he holds up.
Oh man. So he's doing the race with you?
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, that'll be fun.
What does your training weeks look like? Like how many hours or how many miles are you putting in?
So it's been like building up for 3 weeks, a week of recovery ish. So like recovery weeks I've made it a point to run an average of 4.2 miles a day every day for the last, I think I'm coming up on like 330 days. So since September 8th of 2025.
Wow.
But like the rule for that is every Saturday night at midnight, it wipes clean. So I have to have 29.4 miles by then. So my recovery weeks are that. And then the buildups have been, like Monday's kind of been recovery day. Tuesday has been, speed training where I'll do like an hour to an hour 30 of intervals where I'm hitting above threshold pace or at threshold pace. Wednesday's like a lighter recovery run. And then Thursday has been another like 90-minute or so of incline intervals, not walking, but like hitting threshold pace or below it, more zone 3 stuff. And like a general workout would look like 20-minute warm up, 10 minutes at 6 to 9% incline, 5-minute rest, 2 rounds of that. So a total of 20 minutes at that kind of range. And then 2x15 at 15% incline, where I'm just kind of like
Wow.
power walking at 15% incline for a total of 30 minutes. And then the weekends is Friday's kind of like an extra, like a strength day. Saturday has been anywhere from a 3 to uh 10-hour runs, so like a really long run where I'm up in the mountains. And then Sunday is another 2.5-hour recovery, like a lighter pace, but kind of stacking big days on the weekends is the way that I've been working with Boundless Coaching, and they've done an awesome job setting me up with what they've done to help people train for Leadville in the past.
Wow. So your long runs, you said 10 hours for long
Yeah, I mean
training?
that's so they put like 5 hours. They're like, hey, do a five
Yeah.
hour adventure run, and I'm like, okay, well, I always get like lost, or I pick a dumb trail and I end up like 5 hours turns into 7. Or for one of them, my cousin came up, and a handful of us started at 7 p.m. and the plan was to run 26 miles, and we ended up doing, picking another bad course, and it was 30 miles, and we went we finished at about 6 a.m. So it was about 11 hours on feet running through the mountain
Wow.
at night.
Oh
But
man.
like I've chosen to make mistakes in training like that, where I'm like
Yeah.
intentionally like, maybe I end up with 2 hours longer than I expected, but that means that hopefully on race day, I'm not like shocked when I find out I'm behind pace, or I'm on feet longer, or uh, I'm running through the night. Like I'm just used to doing tough things, and in the woods, and climbing, and my legs are used to that, and we can persevere and get through it.
That's
And what
awesome.
and what is your do you have a goal for Leadville?
It was funny. I was talking to my coach yesterday. I was like, "So you see my paces. You've coached people through this. So for those that don't know, Leadville has cutoffs. So for any ultra marathon, you have cutoffs along the way. So if you're at mile 25 and you're not done by like 5 hours, you're pulled from the course. Um, if you Then on the flip side of this, they have two rewards. If you finish in under 30 hours, which is the ultimate cutoff. So if you don't finish at 30 hours, you didn't finish the race according to their standards. If you finish the race under 30, you get a belt buckle. If you finish in under 25, you get a big belt buckle.
Yep.
I started this whole thing out. I was like, there's no way I'm getting a big belt buckle. I'm just going for like, the whole goal is just to finish. But
Yeah.
then, of course, like you build confidence and you're like, maybe I could get that big buckle. So I was talking to my coach yesterday. I was like, so do I go into this like holding paces that can get me to a big? And his response was pretty clever. He said, the only time I didn't get a big belt buckle is when I went into it thinking I was going to get a big belt buckle.
Nice.
And I was like, that's probably smart for
There you
someone
go.
like myself, where like just go in, be patient, and you can always hope, but like you just don't know what's going to happen on the back end of this race. The furthest I've run is 47 miles. So I don't know how my body's going to respond after 75 miles. Like that's 30 more than I've ever run. And I still have to go another 25 from there. So like, uh, I'm being very open-minded. I'm stepping into a world that is completely out of my element. And I want to respect the community, the culture, and the race. Um, so that being said, we're going big belt buckle.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You have to,
Oh
yeah.
man. Yeah. How do you not?
So for your, like,
uh,
7-hour runs, what is your goal in terms of, like, nutrition, sodium? Like, are you pretty dialed into that now? And then, follow-up there is, so you did R3, it was back in, like, July, I guess? Did you kinda use that as maybe, like, a training for that, or was that more because you were with all your friends, so it was, like, more of just, like, a bonding thing?
No, I intentionally picked rim. So rim to rim to rim is as you mentioned, R3. Um, It's a bucket list items for people that it's its own insane challenge. And it is
Yeah.
an incredible and phenomenal 10 out of 10 recommend for anyone looking for some sort of physical endurance thing. And the best part about it is there is no time caps, and you can just be with your buddies, and you're just like kind of surviving in the woods. Like it's awesome. It's incredible. And I went into that and started discussing and mapping out my year back in like November, December of last year, and kind of penciled in maybe a 50 in April, which I ended up not doing. And rim to rim to rim was going to be, we did that Memorial Day weekend in May. So it was a little bit cooler. Definitely don't recommend going down in the heat if you're not trained in the heat. So like, I know you mentioned you're doing it in October. Great time to do it because it's a little cooler. Um, but I use that for sure as part of my training. And my coach was very particular about like, hey, he's done that. He knows the effects it's going to have on your CNS, how your body's going to react. And so the next week and a half, he was like 2 weeks after, you're doing very little. And I was like, well, I got to hit my 4.2 daily. But other than that, yeah, we'll do little. So we recovered from that and felt pretty good and didn't let it hurt. But I use that as it's a different challenge than what I'm expecting in Leadville. Similar in nutrition, but one of the biggest things is you don't have aid stations along the way in rim to rim to rim, so you have to carry
Yeah.
everything in. So I had a different backpack that I'm going to use, but the concept of um, I probably had more sodium locked in for rim to rim to rim than I will Leadville because it's going to be colder. It's going to be cool. It's going to be like 70 degrees as opposed to 97.
Yeah.
But yeah, the general concept of I want to try and hit at least 100 grams of carbs an hour, if not 150 if we're really cooking. I'm going to try and get in a little more fats because I'm going to be in zone 2 for so long. Like I might as well get some extra calories through regular food. So I've got some bars that I like that I'll bring along with me. Um, and then the biggest thing I learned was in rim to rim to rim and in training has been like you want if you have 3 things of water, so I have a vest with 2 front water things and then one in the back. The back I always left with just pure water. This side was carbs, this side was sodium. And so I would just kind of cycle through that. So I wasn't just getting a big dump of sodium that kind of messes with your stomach. And if you watch our rim to rim to rim video, Julian had some trouble over sodium and had to
Yeah.
get to the restroom fairly quickly. And, he was pushing cloth at moments, but uh, I don't want to experience that in Leadville. So I'm being cautious
Yeah.
to not over sodium, but also making sure that I get enough while I'm doing that. And rim to rim to rim was a great uh, test where I went into that. I didn't talk about this in the video. I went into that day. My stomach was not feeling good.
Oh,
I went
really?
like not feeling good. Woke up, had another emergency run to the bathroom, and in my head, I was like, I am for sure going to have to be finding bathrooms along this course, or like not course, but along the trail, or I might have to like go off in the distance and take a dump in the woods. Like I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm expecting a really rough day, and got blessed. I didn't have any issues with my stomach the whole day, and from 2:30 on, from 2:30 a.m. 2:30 a.m. on, I was good to go. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
has your nutrition plan changed from when you did your full Ironman?
yeah, I mean, my full Ironman, I was very that was my first, not my first. It was my first. Basically, I've just built upon that. So I did
Yeah.
Ironman Arizona in 2024 of November, and I've just learned a little bit more about the importance of getting more and more carbohydrates. And I think I'm just relying less on candy and more on some gels that I like more.
Yeah.
But I'll still have just way too much candy on my person during Leadville.
Yeah. I was gonna say the rim to rim to rim video when they showed the hotel the night before, it was just like a candy store.
Yeah, dude, I had everything, and I way overpacked for rim to rim to rim. I had so much candy.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm doing that in October. So that was my biggest question because I know you guys stopped at bathrooms, but yeah, like if you have to pee or something like along the way, do people just politely like wait to like get to a bathroom or like do people just like go hide and take a pee?
I can't speak for everyone, and I don't know what's illegal down there, honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, right?
I may have used it's something off the side of the trail for.
Yeah, okay.
I think for
Yeah.
if you have to take a dump, I think everyone waited politely for a restroom because they're
Yeah, yeah.
only
yeah.
what is it, like 7 miles is the biggest 7 to 10 miles is the biggest distance you'll go before you get to a restroom.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
not too bad. It's not like 30 miles.
Yeah. But I would imagine so would you say the hardest thing about that was obviously the climbing and then just the sheer like if the sun is out, like it's probably very hot when you're in the canyon.
Yeah, it's very one of the challenges is the difference in the heat, because if you start on the south side, you drop 6,000 feet down, and it's like it can be like 40 degrees, 35 degrees up here at the top, and then you get down here and the sun comes out and it's like 97.
Yeah.
So the change in temperature is drastic, and that can mess with your stomach, and it did with some people in other parties. And my brother, I think it messed with him. Um, but there's so many different elements of things you need to be aware of, especially with a group of people, that you need to make sure everyone has the proper amount of food, keeping tallies that people are coherent and they're not just kind of like getting in their own heads. Because like the temperature is a real issue, and when the sun goes down, it's still hot. Like the sun just bakes those rocks all day, and they're red and they absorb that heat, and then it radiates off that. And so even when you're running at 7 p.m. in the canyon, you feel that heat coming off the walls. Like
Yeah.
it's real. You're running in a sauna essentially. So it's not just 97 degrees. It's it's a very different type of heat down there.
Yeah.
What type of I guess elevation gain have you been doing in training for Leadville? Has that been a focus as much as like miles or just like time on feet? Are you like aiming for certain, elevation gains, or is that not
I
not
would say the
really what you're
biggest
focusing
uh,
on?
the that's a good question, because I don't the protocols I was given was like, "Hey, hit these inclines on the treadmill," and I would hit all of
Yeah.
those. And then it would never be like, "Go hit a trail." It would just be time on feet. So spend 5 hours one
Yeah.
day, 2.5 the next. Um, but I would make it a point to hey, if it's a long run, I wanna go out and be in the mountains. And I think one of the only regrets I have is I didn't do one of those 5-hour days running on flats, because I think for Leadville in particular, there's so much flat on it. There's tons of it. There's 14,000 feet on this year's course.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of really big stretches where you're running and it'll be not as much incline. But I feel very prepared. I say that now. We'll see how it is on Saturday. I've done a lot of vertical climbs and done I want to say the biggest one was rim to rim to rim, because you get like 13,000 feet of vertical on that. But I've done runs that are much shorter that have close to 5 to 6,000 feet of climb. And I'm very comfortable climbing up, and then I'm very comfortable running down.
Yeah, which is a huge part. So I was going to ask you, you mentioned this course for Leadville.
Yeah.
Obviously, the course wasn't known for a long time this summer because of the fires. How big of a challenge was that? Or did you just, have to just kind of say, well, yeah, nothing you could do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I come from the CrossFit world where we prepare for the unknown and
That's right.
unknowable, right? Like there are a bunch of
Yeah.
psychopaths that I might have to do some muscle ups to save my kids. So we're going to do 30 for time today.
Yeah.
But I learned from training and watching others train to compete in that sport that there's so many there's so many variables in life and in especially in that sport in particular, that if you try to if you try to worry about everything, you can kind of lose focus on where you can make gains. And so I just early on, like when I was driving around Leadville in June and I was looking at the trees and I was like, man, this is a tinderbox just waiting to go up. And a week later, it was on fire. So I wasn't surprised by the fires, and I knew immediately, like, okay, well, we can't control what is going to happen there. That doesn't change my training. Even if the race is canceled, I'm still going to prepare like I'm going there, and I'm just going to prepare for the course that is what it is, the like previous year's course. So no, I didn't let that affect me at all. I think it got in some people's heads, but I recognized early on that this is not that's outside my control. I can lose sleep about it, or I can prepare for what I know is going to happen, which is I'm going to be on my feet for a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you have pacing you for it? Is
Um, uh,
Mars or Julian gonna jump in there? Or?
Mars and Julie, I mean, they might. I don't think I'll ask them to do it because it's such a long day to film the whole thing. And if I,
Yeah,
so the people that I have pacing me, I want like one of my guys. If you watch it, we did a marathon in Death Valley on the hottest day ever recorded in history. Just
yeah,
a little shout out for that video. Uh, Billy was a hero on that day, and he's coming out to pace me. And I intentionally have him arriving at like 3 p.m. on Saturday so that he's not a part of the crew and worn out after 30 hours
yeah,
because like I want whoever's pacing me to be fresh and be a big vibe and not having been like
yeah,
working all day trying to get footage. So we've put them in more of a filming role and less of a like, hey, we're gonna be out here pacing role.
Yeah. What do you think your vibe's gonna be like? Are you gonna want someone who's, like, kinda chatty, or is it gonna, like, depend on the moment in time, you think?
I think it depends on the moment in time, and part of me is like I don't. Billy's really the only one I have pacing me, and I might ask him to pace me for all 40, but I kind of think I'll just have him for the last 20 just so I have someone to hang with.
Yeah.
Um, but I kind of do well when I'm just cruising by myself and just getting my own head and my own positive talk and there's times where I want to chat, but there's other times I just want to put on my headphones and send her, like I do well in that environment.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good, I think that's a good segue to the Buttery Bros. What, what what I'm always fascinated by, like, obviously, you guys put out, like, amazing videos and content. What does that kind of look like from, like, a planning perspective? Like, you had talked about, last year you planned the rim to rim to rim, but are you building out, like, a year in advance, kind of, like, picking events that you wanna do, things that you're personally interested in, and, like, what does the process look like for all that?
For a long time, we planned our season around events that were happening, and I'm realizing more and more doing this longer that like that content is not as evergreen, and people don't come back to watch it. So, like if we're doing an event recap of something that happens in Wadapalooza in 2022, no one's watching that in 2025. Like you're not
Yeah,
going back to rewatch
yeah,
that. But if you see a video titled "The Hottest Marathon and Hottest Day Ever Recorded in History," like that has some evergreen staying power. Even though that video might not have done as well, um, I feel like building a catalog of content that has that type of stuff to it means more people are coming to check out older content as opposed to going back and just seeing event recaps and you're like, oh, well, I don't really care what happened 5 years ago at this sport that I'm not interested in.
yeah,
Although I think I'm biased, so I think that all of our content can be entertaining for anyone that turns it on, and we try to make it evergreen. But I think that's the reality of some of that type of YouTube stuff is it's just not as entertaining 5 years down the road. Um, so that being said, I'm trying to plan and coordinate things that I'm really excited about doing, and I've been on this big endurance kick lately, so we've put some things in place specifically for this year, and then we're already talking about stuff with 2027 that I can't talk about yet. But I want to be more in front of, hey, these are the videos we want to make. This is the production that we're going to put behind it, and build out things as opposed to oftentimes we can get caught behind the, hey, we're going to go to this CrossFit Games, and we're just going to document whatever happens, and whatever happens, happens, and we'll make a nice video out of that. As opposed to, hey, we're going to go to Denver on October 3rd, and we're going to run a 50K with Taco Bell. Taco Bell has nothing to do with it, but we want to get out there and make an awesome video around this event that we're participating in and watching us suffer, as opposed to uh, finding athletes uh, that we think may be interesting for a video. Sorry, my son just came in. I'm like,
Go
it's
"Father,
all
ahead.
good.
come sorry, no, I can't talk right now. I'm gonna be a bit, Dad. What? I'll be a while." Okay, sounds good. That- I'll deal with it. Maverick, can you help him? Sorry, guys.
That's
That's all right.
Next class.
that's what we talked about. Kids aren't going back till tomorrow.
Yeah, kids are still here
Yeah.
hanging out. He just like freaks his way in here. Sorry. But yes, I look at that as controlling our destiny, and I also like Buttery Bros has been kind of selfishly a tool to get me to be able to go do some things that I like bucket list items in my life, like
Oh,
rim
yeah.
train. And so, yeah, we've got a pretty fun list of content that we have coming up in the next 5 months that I'm very excited about.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to see it. So you said, I mean, you've been doing a lot of endurance stuff. Did that just happen naturally, or was it because you saw that the endurance world was just getting more popular and growing? So, was it just personal, or from like a content perspective, you saw that, that
Uh,
space was growing?
it's kind of happened by accident. Like the growth of that definitely helps to get people to want to get behind it and help produce it. But for me, selfishly, so we started this series we started 3 years ago called Fittest at 40, where I take on fitness challenges that I've done in my past, but now in my 40s. And the kind of the catch is because I did CrossFit, I was training to be a jack of all trades. But what happens when I put 6 weeks to 3 months of training sports specific for PRing my back squats and the power lifts, or PRing my Olympic lifts like the clean and jerk and snatch? Um, and a lot of the things I did growing up was endurance stuff. So that led to me going to do that Death Valley Marathon video because I attempted and failed that in 2006. So now what happens if I train and run in Florida and bike in my sauna, and can I get heat prepared and go and beat that demon? And can I go and PR my half Ironman or full Ironman time? And I had so much fun doing those things that I've kind of continued to look for excuses to kind of dip my toe back into that world. And one of the only other things I've failed is an ultra marathon. In 2006, I think it was around the same year that I failed the Death Valley Marathon. I signed up for a 50 miler in Washington, D.C. I did zero preparing for it. I got there, my brothers all finished, and I was the only one that didn't. I don't even have a photo of it. Like, I just know I signed up. I have this vague memory from decades ago. So like on this journey, I was like, okay, well, I want to go do an ultra marathon. Let's find one of the hardest ones. Leadville is always iconic, and I have some family history for it. So uh, that's how we've gotten into this race. And then I'm doing another full Ironman in November because
Oh,
I was invited by a friend to go do it with him and some people. So that'll be fun to do in November. So
Is that the Ironman Florida?
yeah, yeah. So I
Oh, cool.
not attempted. I completed Ironman Florida in 2009, and we're running it back in 2006 to see, you know,
Nice.
just how fast we can get. And I'm curious to see like uh now after 2 years of kind of doing a regular endurance training, how much faster could I be than 90 days of training for it, which is what I did back in 2024.
oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool.
I suspect you'll be much faster.
That's the hope, but
Yeah.
you never know what happens on race day. Race day, anything can happen.
Yeah, that's
That's
true.
true.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
The waves might be big. Yeah.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
so have you gotten back to, like, being a full-time creator? Like, are you now in a workflow where you feel that you are creating, um, to create for yourself, or are you feeling the pressure to constantly, like, be creating, publishing, all that stuff? Like, what does it feel like for you now?
It changes, and it definitely when I was doing content, where I was just kind of allowing. So when I got into filmmaking and when I got into CrossFit content, specifically, my kind of metric was always make videos that I would want to watch. So when I was working at CrossFit, there was times where I'd have to like make a nutrition video, or do things like I started this new show called The Update Show. And that I looked at as my job. Like, I got to get this thing. I don't really like watching news. And I also help produce like the live TV shows or the ESPN shows that look like a live show from the CrossFit Games. I didn't like those, and I don't particularly watch those things. Like I would have back then because I was such a fan of the sport, but I'm not necessarily always clicking on live things or watching that type of content. I kind of took that same ideology of, hey, when you're making a video, try and always pick things that you want to do and you would want to watch. And I try not to influence what people are watching because if I make something cool enough that I would want to watch, I think there's other people with similar interests, they're going to want to watch it.
Yeah.
Like when I made documentaries for CrossFit, I don't watch documentaries. I watch action movies and Marvel movies and Christopher Nolan movies. So when I was making those, I tried to make them feel like an action movie. I tried to make it feel like these guys are superheroes and the fight scenes or the workouts, and then the kind of the longer behind the scenes stuff is really just getting to know their personalities and their quirks and their motivations and so now with the Buttery Bros, I try not to let what the audience is asking for influence what we're making, because that audience can be very niche and they might want something very specific for what they want, but a bigger, broader audience might not enjoy that. And I personally might not enjoy that as well. So,
Yeah.
trying to just do things that I'm enjoying watching or making.
Nice. That's interesting. Yeah. Um, what about I mean, you're big enough now, like, it feels, like, sustainable and, um, you said you're planning out 2027 already, so are you trying to hit, like, a goal of getting X amount out, like, a month, or is it just, like you said, you're picking, these 6 or 8 things a year and, or is it about, like, the story building up to it?
Um, it we for years we would do a video a week. Like every Monday we were posting a video, or it was at
Yeah.
least once a week. And sometimes we'd miss a day or two, but for like 3 years we did that. And we didn't see like we were told by some other creators like that's the key to getting massive growth. Um and I felt like a little of what happened in that is we some of that content felt like it was created just to hit that week and wasn't always the best, or it was like, hey, we never really made a video only because we had a brand associated with it, but like I think the audience might have thought that because some videos just didn't have quite the energy as some of the others. Um, if it was up to me, we'd be posting at least every other week at a minimum. But
Yeah.
we also have some obligations for like we're partners with World Fitness Project and we're producing content for them. Um, and also we're uh Marsden's now a new father, and so like we just don't have quite the bandwidth we did in 2019. So
Yeah.
we're putting efforts to what excites us and where we see the biggest return on the time we spend doing it. The other place where like YouTube's one game, right? And then Instagram or TikTok or short form content's a totally different ball game. And so making sure that we're that's the only place where I feel like I'm ticking a box when I'm posting something, as opposed to like making something that's authentic and cool and that I expect the audience to like want to sit for longer than 3 seconds to
Yeah.
watch anyway.
Totally.
But I feel like YouTube's the biggest and best platform for a creator.
Yeah, yeah,
Definitely.
for sure.
I wanted to ask because you've done so many crazy challenges. What's the hardest physical challenge that you've done, and do you expect Leadville to top them all?
What did I say? My hardest. I did a post on exactly this the other day. I want to make sure I'm not like
Did you?
mincing my words. And so I made a list of the top 5, and rim to rim wasn't the hardest. There it
That's
is.
good. Yeah.
Okay, 3 was rim to rim to rim. 2 was Death Valley Marathon on the hottest day of the year, and then there's a difference between hard and dangerous. And I think the thing I
Yep.
put on this is the most dangerous was we paddled the Nepali coast. So these guys had walked the entire island of Kauai, and there's a portion of it that you can't walk, or it's very difficult to walk through the Nepali coast. So they paddled it. And our plan was to paddle 17 miles and then walk to the top of the island. So it was a total of like 50 miles of trekking. And I got onto the boat. They put me in a kayak with Matt Bickle, who at the time was around 300 plus pounds. We didn't know our kayak was cracked. There was like 7 people out there, maybe less. We'll say 50 people out paddling with us. And we all met on the beach, and they like said a prayer, and they're like, okay, we're going to go. And in our minds, everyone was going to go out just past where the waves are breaking and kind of huddle up and like make a plan. And we're all going to ride together. It's not at all what happened. We're one of the last to leave. We crash as we're leaving. We get out and everybody's gone. And they had given us a safety brief the night before where they're like, if you see a shark, go like this and the boat will come and kind of help scare the shark away from you. And as we're going, we keep tipping over constantly. And I'm looking around like, if there is a shark and I go like this, the boat 800 meters away, like I'm dead before they get it to me. And then we keep going, and like I'm distracted a little bit because the landscape's incredible. Like Nepali coast, you feel like you're paddling around. Like literally, they filmed Jurassic World on this part of the island. It's incredible. But again, we flip, and on one of the times we flip, Bickle's paddle hit me in the back of the head, and as I'm treading water, I was like, "What happens if that knocks me out? We don't have life preservers."
Oh my
Bickle's not
gosh.
a phenomenal swimmer. And from that point forward, I was like, oh, this is white knuckle. Like I have found myself in a very dangerous position, and I might not see my kids again. We are gripping on for life at this point, and full focus. We are not daydreaming anymore. We're getting back in the boat.
Yeah.
It would turn out that apparently our boat had a crack in it. It was taking on water, and between that and the mismatch of weight between me and Matt Bickle, it was just constantly off axis and causing it to tip over. So the solution was they put me into another boat, let Bickle just be in that by himself, and he was able to finish the paddle by himself, and I was with these other guys. But I did not feel safe until we got to shore, and it was an obscure and weird challenge that I'm forever grateful that I did, and that I would definitely do it again, but I would be way more cautious and test the boat myself before getting on it with I would definitely do some
Yeah.
gear test.
Oh my
So that was
gosh.
the toughest. And I don't know if it's not the hardest physically, it was just scary. I would say Death Valley the second time was probably the next hardest for sure, and that would not just scary because one of our buddies got pretty gnarly heat stroke from that. But I personally was not scared. I was never worried that I wasn't going to finish. So that being said, I'm extremely nervous for Leadville. It could 100% be tougher than all of those things combined. Altitude is scary. You can get, I've had friends that have been in the ER as a result of like depletion of oxygen and continuing to try and push. So I take that very seriously, and I'm also totally unaware of what is going to happen at after mile 47. Like I've never
Yeah.
been there. This
Yeah.
is we are walking into the unknown, and I have no expectations, and I have some hope.
So
Yeah.
you, I'm sure you're talking to friends who have done it, but also are you devouring content, watching like some YouTube videos as well of just like everyday people doing it?
Yeah, so I about a month ago, I was like, okay, I'm going to watch a bunch of YouTube content on Leadville, and
Yeah.
I should have watched because they had some. Apparently, they have some great content about like how to uh, gear for Leadville and how to crew for Leadville. Like they have some explanatory videos that help you like understand. But I was like, now I'm gonna go watch David Roach, who like set the course record and just makes it look breezy. And I was like, this is big. And then I watched I'm friends with Dan Churchill, who he had another video. His video got
Yeah.
roasted, but he one year he didn't finish, and the next year he has a 2-part series, and I'm gonna ruin it for everybody. But I watched the first video thinking that it was the full video, and it just kind of like it gets to him halfway through the race, hunched over and out of breath and just looking like crap. And I'm looking at the time like, man, there's only 2 minutes left in this video. And it was only at the end that I realized that there's a second part for this video. So I thought he just totally imploded and failed the second time. Um, and watching those, it definitely was a wake-up call as to how tough that second half of the course is.
Yeah.
And I think after I watched those, like a night full of watching 4 hours of Leadville videos, I was like, okay, I don't want to watch anymore because I don't want to be more nervous than I need to be.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but watching some of them, I was extremely like, oh, we got to get out in the woods. So, but since then, I've done the right stuff where I feel
Uh,
if I watch those again now, I wouldn't be as nervous.
oh
Yeah, I
yeah,
think that was the thing about watching your guys' rim to rim to rim video was, your whole crew, they were so amped and so energetic for, like, the first, like, I don't know, 10 or miles or whatever, because it was, like, mostly down and, like, everyone was, like, just flying high, and then y every time you watch a YouTube video, you're like, "There's at some point, something, like, is they're not gonna be like this." So, I feel like every time I watch a Leadville video, it's the same. Like, I watched a one recently of, like, a guy who was, like, a former European NBA player, and for the first 60 miles, he was like, "I feel great," and then the last 40 miles, he was, like, struggling pretty bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
you
you
find
do
out
it
what
for, though.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
do it for those moments, right? Like, you do it for
Yeah,
the moment where, like, "Okay, I'm cool, I'm cool, I'm cool. Okay, what do I become when I'm not?" You know,
yeah.
who am I when I'm not feeling good?
Find out
Um,
what you're made of. Fuck
and
around
that's
and find out.
yeah, if you're snapping at people or you're angry or you're breaking down, like, okay, that's fine, if that's what it is, and but, like, if I get to that point, and I've failed ultra marathons in the past. Now I'm a little bit more wise. Like I want to get to that point of failure and find a solution and be proud of who I am at the end of that. You know, so I think that's one of the coolest elements that comes from endurance events is getting to the point of failure and figuring out what to do with yourself at that point.
Yeah, it'll be interesting too because you're not I mean, you said you have one friend doing Leadville, but I mean, I think for a lot of the videos, it's like a lot of your friends and you might be like the rest of us where you are kind of trained for this stuff, but it's very cool to see your friends who might not be like, trained to go hike 48 miles and then I don't know, you just get like such a sense of like pride for them to finish it.
Yeah. We will have it's not just me that we'll have in the video because I know like 10 people doing it
Yeah.
this weekend. And Bickle is also an awesome, phenomenal story. If you, Matt Bickle is a friend of mine
Yeah.
who was on the boat with me in Kauai. He, at one point in his life, weighed 500 pounds. He has lost half of his human self. So he's at 250
Yeah.
pounds now and is hoping to be the first former 500 pounder to come and now run Leadville. So like it's a pretty awesome story there. And he'll have his own documentary crew, but he'll obviously be in some of ours. And then I think my cousin Cole is going to be an interesting one where he's extremely fit, very stubborn, has done zero training at elevation with lack of oxygen, no elevation climbing,
Oh, jeez.
um, has uh, when we ran 30 miles, the last 5 of it, he was worried that his Achilles was going to pop off. You know, like, so I think he broke his foot on the last ultra marathon he's done. So he'll be, there's always interesting stories to find. Um, and that always makes for some compelling content is someone that is completely out of their element.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's great. All right. So before we go, I have some rapid fire questions we want to do
Hit
with you,
me. Yeah.
if that's all right.
Yeah.
And let us know. Some of these you don't have to answer if you don't want, but what shoes are you racing in?
Bro. See, I got 2 that are right here with me. Hang on.
Yeah. We do a lot of gear reviews and shoes, so I'm curious, what shoes are you
Okay,
racing in?
I'm about to make a video where I discuss all. I've trained in so many shoes for this,
Yeah.
and I'm bringing 10 pairs of shoes to Leadville.
Wow. Holy.
Okay, but like I've landed on 2 that I'm 95% sure I'm going to finish in this shoe. This is what I ran rim to rim in. This is the Storm Trooper color profile, not available in the States. I had to get this from Japan,
Oh,
but
wow.
I'm a big fan of Adidas. I love this is the Terex, the Gravic TT. Has like a little, I don't know if it's carbon or some sort of, it's kind of a smaller plate. So they sent me the Speed Ultras,
Oh.
great shoe. It doesn't quite have like this is more thin back here. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
this is going to be a little bit more cushion. It's a wider toe box. So I've been a big fan of this shoe. I loved it for rim to rim to rim. Then this brand sent me these shoes. The next one I'm showing you. I've never liked this shoe. When I first started getting into fitness, I was like, that's the dad shoe. They have too much cushion. They look bulbous. They look weird. But I love this shoe. This
We
is a
feel like
Hoka.
okay, yeah.
The Hoka Rocket X Trail. I've been running this
Okay.
guy a lot lately. They're right next to me because I've just washed them, so they look fresh on race day. This is a great shoe. I've enjoyed this one a lot, and it's maybe now go back and look at other Hokas that I've been like, oh, that's a really. They have some really cool stuff now. So I need to get some
Yeah.
of the road shoes to try for some upcoming training I've got.
So you're
I've been using the Speed Goats, the Hokas, and I
Yeah,
like them a lot.
yeah. I
Yeah.
kind of that's the thing. So they were like, hey, they offered to send something, and I was like, well, send me this because this is what. I think I was listening to David Roche's podcast, and he was talking about the Rocket X3 road shoe. Is
yeah,
that a thing? If I'm saying that
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So I was like, well, obviously, I got to get the high end running shoe. But I regret not getting the Speed Go because the guy that shoe's built off of, is local here to Utah. So I'm kind of wishing could represent Utah with the shoe choice. But that's the Hoka shoe I've got, and then I also have a pair of the Agravic SLs from Reebok that I'll probably start the race in.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Did you change your socks at rim to rim to rim?
Yeah, definitely recommend that. Like,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
love a shoe change out. I couldn't do that on rim to rim, or I would have. But I
But
love
socks, yeah.
popping off new socks because it feels like a new shoe. It'd be like your feet
Yeah,
feel fresher when you put them in, as long
for
as it's
sure.
not blistered. So I've got 3 pairs of socks that I'm bringing out that I'm gonna probably try and switch in and out of fairly quickly. But in rim to rim where you don't have a time cap, definitely when you get to, I did it on the north side and Julian did it at, what's the name of that? But when he did it at one of the water stops coming
Yeah,
back.
yeah. I think it was when he had to take a dump.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. After,
yeah,
yeah, he back to the dub, changed his
yeah.
shoes.
What, oh,
Benita is the name of that spot.
so you like the speed plate, like, you like a good carbon plate for when you're doing trail?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't, as long as, that was the other problem with the Agravic SL or sorry, not the Agravic L, the Agravic Speed Ultra 3, is I felt like when I wore it, I forget which run I wore it on. I've worn it on a marathon up in the mountains. It was just a little too much of a rocker. It put me too much on the front of my foot going uphill. So I didn't love that, but I really enjoyed running downhill in it.
Yeah,
And
okay.
so, the Terex is not as carbon. It's a little bit more of kind of an in between. So I like that to start the run because there's a lot of road and yeah, there's a lot there. I haven't the other one, Nike sent me some of their shoes. I really like those. I just haven't spent enough time in them to really trust them. But I actually might have them there to finish if my feet get swollen because I got a slightly size bigger, and that's also a great shoe. In fact, all the shoes I've run in now have been fantastic. Like,
Yeah,
shoes now have evolved
I can
so
go around.
much,
I know, yeah.
especially like the road shoe revolution in the last 5 or 6 years. I feel like has been like almost helped to make running cool again because there's so much like technology in the shoe. Where I look at shoes back when I was running in 2006 and they were terrible, and like
Yeah.
I would never run on that shoe now.
Yeah. Alright, Anthony, what else you
Yeah, I
got?
know. Yeah, that was, I guess it's not very
That
rapid, I
wasn't
guess,
that.
but I shouldn't have
I
started
can
with
tell.
that.
Adam, with straps.
Yeah. Favorite flavor of Podium electrolytes?
Ooh, so the Sullen Electrolytes, the new summer flavor we just came out with, candy apple. Bro, you put that in your soft flask with some ice and you start sipping on that. It is refreshing. That is,
All right.
yeah, candy apple has been my go-to this summer.
Candy apple. Pineapple on pizza. Yes or no?
Yeah, I do it. I don't mind. There's a
You do it?
little sweet or savory. Yeah, I put that in there.
That's a no. That's a no for me, dog.
That said, I only do it when I do the Hawaiian pizza, and I often order from Domino's, and I get the barbecue chicken pizza, and they're like, "Hey, do you want pineapples on this?" And I never put it on there, but I'm not opposed to it. If you like, I understand the concept of it. I'm not against it. It's not something I do regularly at this point, but I grew up with Hawaiian as my go-to.
Nice.
Oh man. All right. In a hot dog eating contest, who wins between you, Mars, or Jules?
I mean, I think Julian has eaten the most glizzies on the show.
Has
I
it?
hope they
Yeah.
don't, knock on wood, they don't show up with glizzies for me at the finish line. I could definitely see that coming, though. I think, when is this going out?
We're gonna get that out hopefully by Thursday. We want to,
Oh, okay.
yeah, before the race.
Yeah, great. So if they hear this,
Yeah, and if they hear it, yeah. All right.
I'm kind of thinking I might run with some glizzies in my backpack and surprise them,
Yeah.
reverse Nuno.
Yeah. Go to Spotify running playlist.
Dude, I don't use Spotify, so I don't have a good answer there, but
Okay.
I make my own playlists.
What are you jamming out to?
Right now, so I have a playlist. So the biggest song I think I've been running to is Katy Perry's Roar, because the 180 beats per minute is perfect for like when I need like a re-up. So that's probably the most listened to song on this. And then this sounds so funny, but I really enjoyed one night the Greatest Showman soundtrack came on when I was
Okay.
running like in December. So I've been running to that a lot this training block. And
Oh
then
man.
I've been intermixing those with a lot of Fallout Boy
All right.
has been on my playlist. So like very different stuff. And then the other thing, like I love a good movie soundtrack. And so that's why like The Greatest Showman, or last summer I did a lot of the new F1 movie soundtrack was fantastic. Ludwig Göransson, the movie the Tenet soundtrack I love, but he
Yeah.
did the music for the Odyssey, which isn't
Yeah.
quite as runnable, but there's some great songs on there. And like Project Hail Mary has some awesome songs. So like
Yeah.
I like just listening to that and thinking while because like if it's lyrics, then I'm kind of listening to the lyrics. But if it's just
Yeah.
music, it can be motivating and also let my mind kind of wander and think about life. So
You have
Totally.
kids. Have your kids seen or have you seen the Wild Robot? Have you ever
oh
seen
yeah,
that?
we love the Wild
Yeah,
Robot.
yeah,
Great
yeah.
soundtrack too. Yeah.
Great soundtrack. I did Unbound XL, so, like, the 360 mile, and, like, it was, like, 4 AM, like, I'd been biking for, 12 hours at that point, and that one of those songs came on, and it, like, made me think about my family and my kids, and I'm just, like, going, like, 30 miles an hour, just, like, bawling,
Yeah,
like
dude. You get emotional.
yeah,
I look forward to that. I look forward to hallucinating with joy and crying tears of
yeah,
like happiness
exactly.
with my family 100%.
That's
Oh my
great.
gosh. All right, last one. You could skip this if you want, but Prime Froning versus Prime Fraser, who wins?
See, Prime is one thing because, like, if you look at Prime and you look at the test that Rich won on, um, he just had some. Like, you look at the 2014 year. If Matt was in that year at his prime, Matt's not going to take that far back in the running event. He's not going to fall apart on 333. But you never know on race day. But like, knowing what I know about running now, his shoe choice was terrible. Um, uh, so I would say it would probably be um, one-on-one in the 2014 games, Matt is probably going to win. But Rich was so good at finding his weaknesses and then attacking them. And so like his growth in both of them were like Rich's growth from swimming in his early years to like struggling in the pool in 2013 to being like top 12 in the swimming event in 14 was a big jump. And now he's very comfortable in the pool. And both of them, like Matt's 5-year dominance, beating the field the way he did with the amount of point separation between him and the next person, and his scores still stand up. Like the Fibonacci final that he did in
Yeah.
2018, I think, or maybe it was 17, whatever that workout was. When they repeated it this last year, like no one was close to his time in that workout, and he was taking his time. Like that was
Yeah,
the
he was
first time
winning, right?
like he wins and then like he's already won the competition and then he finishes the minimum work requirement in that workout and then just like
Yeah.
takes in the crowd. And that was the first time he'd been able to do that. And like he's worried that he's now going to start crying. So he's like, okay, I got to get back to work. And then he finishes that workout, finishes the lunges. But like Matt was so impressive and compared to the field that he competed against is insane. And then Rich winning 4 years in a row was impressive, but I think the other more impressive feat was that he then rallied a team to win for 6 years out of the next 7. Like that to me is as impressive as his 4 individual finishes, because he was able to elevate those around him to the point where they were winning. And like the fact that he won it the next year with that kind of, it was almost a ragtag team that year was insane. They got kind of lucky that NorCal got injured and had to pull out, but he wins and then continues to win with a team for the next bit. Like he's built a really cool community and city down in Cookeville that is, anytime I can get a chance to go to Cookeville to train and hang out with those guys, they're so fun. So both, like, it's hard to pick one or the other, given what their primes look like, because I don't think Rich's prime was 14. I think that's just his last year as an individual, and then he continued to climb and be fit the next 10 years, honestly.
Yeah, he was always in the top, handful of people in the open for several years after.
Yeah, and I think he's only not that because he's not like as focused on it. Like,
right,
he's way more into hunting. He's actually who I'm doing the Ironman with in November.
Yeah,
so cool. I'll be doing it with him and his crew down in Florida. And yeah, I think he's going to smash that. Like, he's such a good swimmer, such a good biker. His knee's a little hurt now on the run, but Rich is a phenomenal athlete and a great representative of the CrossFit community.
Yeah. All right, that's all I had for you.
Yeah, man, this has been fun. What just quick plug to end things. Where can people find you?
You can find me at the Buttery Bros on Instagram, Buttery Bros YouTube channel on YouTube, and my personal Instagram, Heber Cannon, is probably the easiest ways to find and get a hold of me and follow my journey. Awesome, man. Hey, good luck at Leadville. Everyone's gonna follow. Looking forward to the video as well. But yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.